Chosen one, did you really think no one saw you this morning when you almost didn't get out of bed? Did you honestly believe your tears at 3 a.m. went unnoticed? Did you think that moment, that split second when you chose to keep breathing instead of giving up, did you think that was invisible? Listen to me very carefully, beloved. At exactly Maimon 4 this morning, while you were standing at your kitchen counter, staring at nothing, wondering if anyone would even notice if you disappeared, heaven stopped. Not slowed down, stop. The angels leaned forward. The 24 elders turned their heads, and God himself whispered your name. You don't even know how close you came to quitting today, but he saw. That sigh you released while sitting in that empty room, that wasn't just air leaving your lungs, dear one. That was a trumpet blast in the throne room of the Almighty. Your weariness rose like incense in the temple. Your silent scream, the one you didn't even speak out loud, it shattered something in the heavenly realm that's been blocking your blessing for 17 years. I'm not talking poetry here. I'm talking about a divine transaction that happened today because of something you did. Something small. Something you thought didn't matter. But heaven recorded it. Angels took notes. And tonight, before you lay your head down, something massive is being released that's been waiting for this exact moment. Before we go deeper, I need to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and let the Spirit lead your heart. But right now, I need you to understand something that's going to shatter every lie you've believed about today. What you did wasn't random. You getting up this morning when your body screamed to stay down, that was obedience. You choosing to pray even though your words felt hollow, that was warfare. You deciding to keep going when every fiber of your being wanted to quit, that was the exact trigger heaven was waiting for. Something specific was released for you tonight. And before this message ends, you'll understand why it had to be tonight. Why not tomorrow? Why not last week? Why this moment carries weight that will echo into eternity. If your spirit already feels this, as if something inside you just stirred awake, type Amen in the comments right now. Let heaven see your agreement. Because what I'm about to reveal will explain why your entire life has been leading to this single night. You didn't find this message. This message found you. How many mornings have you woken up and felt completely invisible? How many times have you sat at that table, the same table where your family used to gather, and felt the silence press against your chest like a stone? How long have you been carrying weight that nobody else can see? Listen to me, dear one. I know exactly where you are right now. You're sitting in a room that used to be full of voices, and now it echoes. Your phone used to ring every day, and now, weeks go by. Your children are busy with their own lives, 3 states away, maybe 4. Your grandchildren know your face from video calls, but they don't know your story. They don't know what you sacrificed. They don't know the nights you went without so they could have everything. You've become a ghost in your own life, haven't you? But here's what breaks my heart, and here's what you need to hear tonight. You've been telling yourself that this loneliness is just part of getting older, that this is what happens when you reach 70, 80, 90 years on this earth. You've convinced yourself that feeling forgotten is normal, that being overlooked is just the way things are now. That is a lie from the pit of hell. Your life has felt like a long winter. I know it has. Every day colder than the last. Every week darker than the one before. You wake up, you go through the motions, you smile when you're supposed to smile, but inside, you're wondering if anyone would even notice if you weren't here tomorrow. I'm talking to the grandmother in Queens who raised 4 children by herself after her husband walked out. You did everything right. You worked 2 jobs. You never missed a school play. You sacrificed your dreams so they could chase theirs. And now they're too busy to call, too busy to visit, too busy to remember that you're still here, still breathing, still hoping that maybe, just maybe, someone will see you. I'm talking to the grandfather in Brooklyn who built a business with his bare hands. 70-hour weeks for 30 years. You provided. You protected. You gave everything you had. And what did you get? A gold watch at retirement and a silence so loud it keeps you awake at 3 a.m., wondering if your life meant anything at all. The Bible tells us in Psalm 20:1, "When my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up." Do you hear that? When, not if, when. Because God knew. He knew that there would come a season when even the people you poured your life into would forget. When even your own flesh and blood would be too distracted by their own chows to remember where they came from. But here's what you don't know. Here's what the enemy has been hiding from you while you've been drowning in this loneliness. God has been watching your private moments. He saw the tears you wiped before anyone else could see. That morning last Tuesday when you broke down in the shower because the weight of being forgotten finally crushed through your defenses. He was there. That afternoon you sat in your car in the grocery store parking lot, gripping the steering wheel, whispering, "Lord, help me." So quietly even you could barely hear it. He heard every syllable. That moment 3 nights ago when you stood at your bedroom window at 2 a.m., staring at the city lights, wondering if you should just let go. Heaven erupted, angels moved. The Father leaned forward from his throne and said, "Not yet. Not my child. Not on my watch." You think you've been carrying this alone, but you haven't been alone for a single second. Every disappointment you've swallowed without complaining recorded. Every time you chose to pray instead of curse, documented. Every morning you dragged yourself out of bed when your body screamed to stay down, when your mind whispered that nothing matters anymore, when your heart begged for permission to quit. Heaven marked it. Angels took notes. God himself said, "That one. That's the one I'm watching. That's the one I'm preparing something for." What you thought was ignored was actually recorded. You've been walking through a spiritual test so intense that most people would have crumbled years ago. But you didn't crumble, did you? You bent. You broke in places no one can see. But you didn't crumble. Job understood this. The man lost everything: his children, his wealth, his health, his reputation. His own wife told him to curse God and die. His friends accused him of secret sin. He sat in ashes, scraping his sores with broken pottery, and the whole world wrote him off as finished. But God wasn't finished. Job 4:2 tells us, "So the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning." The latter end, the final chapter, the season when everyone else had given up on him. That's you right now. You're in your latter end. And if you can hear my voice through whatever device you're listening on, if these words are penetrating that wall you've built around your heart, then you need to understand something that will change everything. Heaven heard the crack of the first thaw today. That decision you made this morning, the one you thought was insignificant, the one nobody else noticed, that was the sound of winter breaking. That moment of obedience, that whispered prayer, that choice to keep going even though every logical reason said to quit. That was the ice cracking. That was spring coming. That was God saying, "Now, this is the moment I've been waiting for." You thought you were just surviving another day, but heaven saw something different. Heaven saw the trigger, the activation point, the precise second when your hidden faithfulness intersected with divine timing. And that's why tonight matters. Because what's about to be released over your life wasn't possible yesterday. The blessing that's breaking loose right now required exactly this amount of endurance, exactly this depth of pain, exactly this level of faithfulness when nobody was watching. But here's the question that will determine everything. What happens when God finally rewards the hidden years? You want to know what happened today that changed everything. It wasn't what you said. It wasn't what you posted online. It wasn't even the prayer you thought was too small to matter. It was the moment you almost lost it and didn't. Somewhere between your morning coffee and that phone call that made your blood pressure spike, you made a choice. A tiny choice. A choice so small you probably don't even remember it. But heaven does. Oh beloved, heaven remembers every millisecond of it. You held your tongue when everything in you wanted to lash out. You walked away from an argument you could won. You prayed for someone who hurt you instead of cursing them under your breath. You chose in one split second of holy restraint to be different than you were yesterday. And the moment you made that choice, something in the invisible realm cracked wide open. Listen to me carefully. James 1:3 tells us that the testing of our faith produces perseverance. But here's what most preachers won't tell you, that testing isn't random. It's strategic. God doesn't test you to see if you'll fail. He tests you to prove to principalities and powers in heavenly places that you can be trusted with what He's about to release. That person who disrespected you today, that wasn't coincidence. That was a test. That bill that showed up right when you thought you were getting ahead. Strategic positioning. That phone call that triggered every old wound you thought you healed from. Spiritual examination. But you passed, dear one. You didn't even know you were being tested, but you passed. Think about this for a moment. Think about how you normally would responded 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Think about the version of you that would have exploded, would given up, would said things you couldn't take back. That version of you is dead, and today proved it. Your obedience was the key that opened a sealed door in the spiritual realm. I'm talking about a door that's been locked since before you were born. A door your grandmother prayed would open. A door your mother stood in front of, weeping, wondering if breakthrough would ever come to this family. That door has been waiting for someone mature enough, tested enough, refined enough to turn the key. You turned it today at 2:10 p.m. when you whispered, "Lord help me," instead of losing your mind. You see, the enemy thought he had you. He thought that situation would break you, would make you react, would pull you back into old patterns. He orchestrated that entire scenario to prove you hadn't really changed. To prove that all those years of prayer were meaningless. To prove that you're still the same broken person you've always been. But when you didn't react the way hell expected you to react, chosen one, do you understand what happened? You didn't just resist temptation. You shattered a demonic strategy that's been in place against your bloodline for 3 generations. Heaven moved tonight because of you. Not because you're perfect. Not because you have it all figured out. But because in one moment, one unremarkable, unwitnessed, ordinary moment, you chose the narrow road when the wide road was screaming your name. The angels who have been assigned to your life, they've been waiting for this moment. Waiting for you to demonstrate the kind of character that can handle what's been stored up in heaven's warehouse with your name on it. They can't release blessing to someone who's going to waste it, misuse it, or let it destroy them. But today you proved something. Matthew 25:2 says, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much." Do you hear that? Faithful over a little. Not over everything. Not over the big dramatic moments. Over the little choice nobody saw. Over the restraint that felt like it was killing you. Over the forgiveness that logic said you didn't owe. That little thing, it qualified you for much. And tonight, I mean tonight, before your head hits that pillow, something is shifting in the atmosphere over your life that's going to manifest so fast it'll leave you breathless. Doors you stopped knocking on are about to swing open. People who owe you are about to remember your name. Opportunities you thought passed you by are about to circle back around. Why? because you passed a test you didn't even know you were taking. But here's what I need you to understand, and this is urgent. The enemy knows what just happened. He felt the shift the moment you made that choice. And right now, he's planning his counter-move. He's going to try to convince you this message isn't real. He's going to whisper that nothing's changed, that you're reading too much into things, that you're just being emotional. Don't you dare believe him. If you know exactly what I'm talking about, if there's a specific moment from today playing in your mind right now like a movie, hold it in your heart. Don't dismiss it. Don't minimize it. That moment was your personal Passover, your Red Sea, your stone that killed Goliath. You'll understand why in just a moment. Because what I'm about to reveal next will show you exactly what heaven released the second you made that choice. But first, you need to know something that's going to change how you see the rest of your life. You want to know what really happened today. Not what you saw with your natural eyes, but what erupted in the realm you cannot see. Let me tell you something that's going to shake the foundation of everything you thought you understood about how heaven operates. At 1:04 this morning, the angelic host received an emergency decree, not a suggestion, not a recommendation, a direct command from the throne of the Most High God. And that command had your name written across it in letters of fire. Do you know what it means for heaven to halt the wind, for the stars to pause their orbit, for time itself to bend backward for a single human being? That's what happened for you today. Listen to me carefully, beloved. In Daniel chapter 10, verse 2, the angel told Daniel something that will blow your mind. He said, "Do not be afraid, Daniel. Since the first day that you set your mind to gain understanding and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come in response to them." The first day, not the last day. Not when Daniel felt ready. Not when circumstances looked perfect. The first day Daniel made a decision in his heart. Heaven mobilized a response. But here's what will shock you. It took 21 days for that angel to break through enemy territory and reach Daniel with the answer. 21 days of warfare in the invisible realm, while Daniel wondered if God was even listening. You've been waiting longer than 21 days, haven't you? Some of you have been waiting 21 years, 21 decades. You thought God forgot. You thought your prayers were bouncing off a brass ceiling. You thought maybe you weren't important enough, weren't holy enough, weren't worthy enough for heaven to notice. But what if I told you that every single day you've waited, there's been warfare in the heavenlies over your breakthrough? What if the delay wasn't denial but deployment? What if angels have been fighting principalities and powers just to deliver what God released the moment you first whispered His name in desperation? Today something broke. Today the final resistance shattered. Today the angel assigned to your deliverance said, "Enough, I'm breaking through." Tonight they receive what's been fighting to reach them. In Revelation chapter 10, verse 3, John saw something in heaven that will change how you see your prayers forever. He said, "Another angel who had a golden censer came and stood at the altar. He was given much incense to offer, with the prayers of all God's people on the golden altar in front of the throne." Your prayers didn't disappear, dear one. They've been rising, accumulating, building up like a holy storm cloud in the throne room of God. And today, this specific day, that cloud became so heavy, so full, so charged with divine electricity that heaven said, "It's time. Release it. Pour it out. They've endured enough. They've believed enough. They've survived enough." But here's where it gets supernatural. Here's where the cosmic shift happens. God didn't just hear your prayer today. He repositioned your entire timeline. Angels stood still earlier because your name was mentioned in the council of the Almighty. Not casually, not in passing. Your name was spoken with authority, with purpose, with a specific assignment attached to it. The enemy has been fighting you so hard because he saw the repositioning coming. Every attack over the last 3 weeks, Every financial pressure, every health scare, every relationship conflict, it wasn't random chaos. It was strategic warfare designed to make you give up one day before your breakthrough. But you didn't give up, did you? You got up this morning. You kept breathing. You chose to believe one more day even when belief felt like lifting 1,000 pounds. And heaven noticed. In Esther chapter 6, there's a moment that mirrors what's happening to you right now. King Xerxes couldn't sleep, so he ordered the book of records to be read to him. And in that book, he discovered that Mordecai, a man who'd been overlooked, forgotten, assumed to be insignificant, had once saved the king's life. The very next morning, the king asked, "What should be done for the man the king delights to honor?" That question changed Mordecai's life in 24 hours. From invisible to honored, from forgotten to celebrated, from endangered to elevated. God is reading your record tonight. Every moment you stayed faithful when no one was watching. Every tear you cried that no one saw. Every act of obedience that brought no applause. Every sacrifice that went unnoticed. He's reading it all. And he's asking the same question. What should be done for the one I delight to honor? Tonight is not an ordinary night, beloved. Something has already begun moving toward you. Not tomorrow, not next week, tonight. While you sleep, angels are removing obstacles. While you rest, divine favor is being positioned. While you surrender to this moment, heaven is recalibrating the path you're on. You've been walking a road that led to struggle, but today, God shifted the coordinates. You're no longer on the path to barely surviving. You're on the highway to suddenly thriving. You're no longer headed toward more disappointment. You're aimed directly at divine appointment. The blessing that's coming isn't just provision. It's vindication. It's not just breakthrough. It's payback for every year the enemy stole. It's not just relief. It's restoration times 7. And before we reach the halfway mark of this message, I will tell you exactly what this blessing looks like. I will show you the biblical blueprint. I will name the specific areas where you're about to see heaven invade your circumstances. But first, you need to understand why tonight was chosen. Why not last month? Why not next year? What is it about this specific moment in time that made heaven say now? It has to be now. You know what breaks my heart? It's not the big, dramatic failures that crush people. It's the silent heroism that goes unnoticed. It's the grandmother who's been praying for her prodigal grandson for 32 years, whispering his name at 5 a.m. when the house is still dark. It's the widower who sets the table for 2 out of habit, then sits alone and still says grace. It's you, yes, you doing the right thing when no one's watching, when no one's clapping, when it feels like even God has looked away. But listen to me very carefully, beloved. What you did in secret has been seen openly in heaven. You think that kindness you showed last Tuesday meant nothing. You helped that neighbor carry groceries up 3 flights of stairs. Your knees were screaming. Your back was on fire. You smiled through the pain and said, "It's no trouble at all." She never even said thank you. She just shuffled inside and closed the door. You stood there in that hallway alone, wondering if anything you do even matters anymore. Heaven recorded it. Angels wrote it down. God leaned forward on his throne and said to the hosts of glory, "Did you see that? Did you see my child choose love when their body was begging them to choose self?" Hebrews 16 declares, God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him as you have helped his people and continue to help them. Not unjust. That means every single act of faithfulness, every moment you chose obedience over comfort, sacrifice over selfishness, it's been cataloged, documented, stored up. Your tears, they're not just salt and water running down weathered cheeks. Psalm 6 p.m. says, "You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book. Every tear is a receipt, dear one." And tonight, this very night, Heaven is about to redeem them. But here's what you need to understand. Here's the part that's going to wreck you and rebuild you in the same breath. You've been faithful in the small things when the world worships the spectacular. You've been steady when everyone else needed flash. You've been consistent when consistency looked like foolishness. And you know what that makes you? Dangerous. Dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. Because hell can handle the emotional, the erratic, the people who burn hot and fade fast. But someone who just keeps showing up. Someone who prays the same prayer for 3 decades. Someone who forgives 70 times 7 and then starts counting again. That terrifies the enemy. This is why your life has been harder than it should have been. This is why doors slammed when you were qualified. This is why people betrayed you when you were loyal. This is why your body broke down when your spirit stayed strong. The devil saw your secret faithfulness and launched everything he had at you, trying to make you quit before you realized what you were carrying. But you're still here, despite the arthritis, despite the loneliness, despite burying people you thought you'd grow old with, despite watching your children make choices that shattered your heart, despite the medical bills, despite social security that doesn't stretch far enough, despite the world telling you that your best days are behind you, you are still here. And do you know why? Let me tell you something that's going to shift everything you thought you knew about your purpose. The reason you're still here is because heaven has decided your next chapter begins now. Not when you feel ready, not when circumstances line up, not when you're younger or stronger or less tired now. Tonight. This moment while you're sitting there wondering if your life still has meaning. Joseph was 30 years old when he interpreted Pharaoh's dream, but he'd spent the previous 13 years in slavery and prison. 13 years of secret faithfulness when no one was watching. 13 years of doing the right thing when it benefited him nothing. And then one morning he woke up in a dungeon. By sunset, he was second in command of the most powerful nation on earth. One day, Genesis 4:3 says, so Pharaoh sent for Joseph, and he was quickly brought from the dungeon. Quickly. After 13 years of slowly dying in obscurity, everything shifted in hours. You've been in your dungeon long enough. Your quickly is tonight. Moses was 80 when the burning bush called his name. 80. The world had written him off. He'd written himself off. He was tending sheep in the desert, thinking his life was over. But God said, now you're ready. Now you've learned what palaces could never teach you. Now your secret faithfulness in the wilderness has qualified you for public deliverance of nations. Your age isn't your disqualification. Your secret years aren't wasted years. They're your credentials for what's coming. Anna the prophetess was 84 years old, widowed after only 7 years of marriage, and she spent the next 77 years in the temple. 77 years, praying, fasting, worshipping. While everyone else went home to their families, she stayed faithful in secret. And then one day, Mary and Joseph walked through those temple doors carrying baby Jesus. Luke 2:13 says Anna gave thanks to God and spoke about the child to all who were looking forward to the redemption of Jerusalem. She wasn't just a witness. She became the first female evangelist of the Messiah. At 84. After decades of secret faithfulness that nobody applauded. Your secret faithfulness is about to become your public platform. That patience you've shown, it's about to pay dividends. That forgiveness you've extended, it's about to return as favor. That love you've given when you got nothing back, it's about to flood your life from directions you never imagined. If this speaks to your spirit, if something deep inside you just broke open and hope rushed in, type Semsenti turn right now. Not sensendiv, not sen, but Sensenti Sabm, the number of divine completion. Let heaven see your faith. Let the angels record your agreement. Because what happens next requires you to believe that your secret years were never secret to God. He's been preparing something so massive, so overwhelming, so perfectly timed that it could only be released after you'd been refined in the hidden place long enough to handle it without it destroying you. Your blessing doesn't need an audience. It just needs obedience. And tonight, beloved, tonight your obedience is about to meet heaven's abundance in a collision that will leave you breathless. But before we go deeper into what's being released, I need you to understand exactly what triggered this moment. Because what you did today wasn't random. And what's about to happen tonight isn't coincidence. You want to know what heaven saw today that made them move on your behalf. Let me tell you exactly what broke loose in the spiritual realm while you were just trying to survive another day. This morning, when you whispered that broken prayer, the one that felt like it bounced off your bedroom ceiling, it didn't fall to the ground. Revelation 5:10 tells us that the prayers of the saints are held in golden bowls before the throne of God. But here's what most preachers won't tell you. Those bowls don't just sit there collecting dust. They wait, they accumulate, they build pressure like a dam about to burst. And today, beloved, your dam broke. For 17 years, some of you have been praying the same prayer. For 23 years, you've been asking God to restore what was stolen. For 31 years, you've been crying out for peace in a home that's known nothing but Charles. And every single day, heaven has been saying, not yet, not yet, yet. But something you did today changed heaven's answer to now. Listen to me carefully. This isn't prosperity gospel. This isn't name it, claim it nonsense. This is divine alignment. This is Joel 2:25 coming to life right in front of your eyes. I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten. God doesn't just give you back what you lost. He gives you back the years, the time, the joy, the hope that died somewhere between your 40th birthday and your 75th. Tonight, something is being released that has been held back for so long you stopped believing it was even possible. Some of you are about to experience peace in your home for the first time in decades. Not the fake peace where everyone's just avoiding each other. Real peace. The kind where you can sit in your living room and actually feel safe. Where the phone rings and you don't flinch. Where Sunday dinner doesn't end in someone storming out. Others, and I'm talking specifically to you right now, you're about to see restoration of something the enemy stole. Maybe it's a relationship with your daughter who hasn't spoken to you in 7 years. Maybe it's your reputation that was destroyed by lies you couldn't fight. Maybe it's the dignity that was stripped away when they forced you into retirement like you were disposable. Heaven is sending back what hell delayed. But here's where it gets deeper. Here's where you need to pay attention, because this is the part the enemy doesn't want you to hear. Some of you are about to receive unexpected financial grace. Not lottery winnings. Not some scam check in the mail. I'm talking about the kind of provision that makes absolutely no sense on paper but shows up anyway. You know why? Because Luke 6:3 doesn't have an expiration date. Give, and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap. You've been giving your whole life, giving to ungrateful children, giving to churches that forgot your name, giving to a world that never said thank you. But God keeps better books than any accountant on Wall Street. And tonight, your account is about to overflow. For others, what's being released is emotional healing. The kind that doesn't come from therapy or medication or time. The kind that can only come when God Himself reaches into that shattered place in your chest and speaks the same words He spoke to Lazarus. Come forth. You've been dead in certain areas of your heart for so long you don't even remember what it feels like to hope. But Ezekiel 13:5 says, I will cause breath to enter you, and you shall live. Dry bones are about to breathe again. And some of you, I hear this so clearly in my spirit right now. You're about to receive the answer to a question you've been asking for so long you'd given up expecting a response. That thing you prayed about in 19 them, that situation you laid at God's feet in 1904. That impossible request you whispered in 2003 and never spoke out loud again because the silence hurt too much. Tonight, heaven is answering. But here's what you need to understand that's going to revolutionize everything. This isn't random. This isn't God finally getting around to you. This is cause and effect in the spiritual realm. What you did today unlocked what has been held back for years. You think that moment when you forgave your ex-husband in your heart this afternoon didn't matter. You think choosing not to complain when your body was screaming in pain didn't register in heaven. You think getting out of bed when depression told you to stay down was insignificant. Every single one of those moments was a key turning in a lock. And today the last tumbler fell into place. Matthew 10:17 says, "Whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven." You've been binding the enemy's work in your life through your obedience. And tonight, you're about to see what heaven has been losing on your behalf while you were faithful in the dark. This is your aha moment, chosen one. Everything you've survived wasn't meant to destroy you, it was meant to prepare you for this massive release. Every tear was strategic. Every setback was positioning. Every closed door was redirecting you toward this moment when God says, "Now you're ready to receive what I've been holding for you." But there is one more thing God needs you to hear before this blessing manifests. One more truth that will determine whether you receive this or whether it passes by you like it has passed by so many others who were almost there but missed it. Are you ready to hear what could change everything about tonight? Now listen to me very carefully, chosen one, because what I'm about to tell you could mean the difference between receiving everything heaven just released and watching it slip through your fingers in the next 4 hours. You feel that shift in your spirit right now, don't you? That knowing, that confirmation, that sense that something monumental is happening in the invisible realm. Good, that's real. That's heaven confirming what I've been speaking over your life. But here's what they don't tell you in those feel-good sermons on Sunday morning. Here's what most preachers won't say because it makes people uncomfortable. The moment, and I mean the exact moment, heaven releases your blessing, hell mobilizes its counterattack. You think that's dramatic, you think I'm being extreme. Then you haven't read your Bible closely enough. Look at Job. The moment God bragged on him, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him." What happened next? Everything was stripped away. His children, his wealth. Satan didn't wait a week, he didn't wait a day. He struck immediately. Look at Jesus in the wilderness, Matthew chapter 4. The moment the heavens opened and God declared, "This is my beloved Son." What happened immediately after? The Spirit led him into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. Right after the blessing, right after the confirmation, came the attack. Do you see the pattern? The enemy always attacks right before the blessing breaks through into your physical reality. And tonight, beloved, you are standing in that dangerous, sacred space between heaven's release and your earthly reception. The transaction has been made in the spiritual realm. The angels have been dispatched. The blessing is in motion, but it hasn't manifested in your bank account yet. It hasn't shown up in your body yet. It hasn't walked through your front door yet. This is the gap. This is the space where the enemy does his deadliest work. Let me tell you exactly what's about to happen in the next few hours. And I need you to stay alert because this is warfare intelligence straight from the throne room. First, doubt will whisper. Not loud, not obvious, it'll be subtle. You'll wake up at 2 a.m. and think, was that message really for me? Am I just being emotional? Nothing ever changes anyway. That's not your thought. That's a planted seed of unbelief designed to abort what heaven just conceived. Second, somebody's going to call you or text you. Somebody who always drains you. Somebody who only reaches out when they need something. Somebody whose voice makes your shoulders tense the moment you hear it. And if you answer, if you let that conversation happen tonight, they will siphon the anointing right out of your atmosphere without even knowing they're doing it. Third, a sudden heaviness will try to settle over your spirit. You were fine 10 minutes ago. You were rejoicing. You were believing. But now out of nowhere, sadness, unexplained grief. A weight you can't name. That's not depression, dear one. That's demonic oppression trying to suffocate your praise before it can birth your promise. The Bible tells us in 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8, "Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy the devil prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour." Notice it doesn't say he's a lion. It says he's like a roaring lion. He's imitating power he doesn't have anymore. He's making noise to scare you into dropping what you're carrying. But if you stand your ground, if you guard what heaven just gave you, his roar has no bite. Guard your peace tonight like it's treasure, because it is. Guard your faith tonight like it's a flame in a hurricane, because it is. Guard your expectation tonight like it's a newborn baby in your arms, because spiritually it is. Do you understand what I'm telling you? The devil knows something about tonight that you're just beginning to grasp. He knows that what's coming for you isn't just a blessing, it's a reset. It's a reversal. It's a generational shift. He knows that if this breaks through, if this lands in your life fully manifested, you will never be the same person again. Your family line will never be the same. Your testimony will become a weapon that sets other captives free, and he cannot afford to let that happen. So he's going to throw everything at you between now and sunrise. Every doubt, every distraction, every person who speaks death instead of life, every thought that says, "This is too good to be true," every memory of past disappointments that whispers, "Remember last time you believed God. Remember how that turned out." But here's what the enemy doesn't know. Here's what he can't see. You're not the same person who fell for those tricks before. You've been refined. You've been tested. You've survived battles that should have destroyed you. And tonight, you're not just a believer hoping for a miracle. You're a warrior who's learned how to protect what God releases. Ephesians 6, verse 13 says, "Therefore put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you have done everything, to stand." After you have done everything, stand. Tonight is the night he tries to shake you. The night he tries to move you. The night he tries to convince you that you misheard, that you're being foolish, that nothing's really changed. Don't move. Don't you dare move. Plant your feet. Set your face like flint. Decide right now, in this moment, that no weapon formed against your blessing will prosper. Decide that no voice, not even your own, will talk you out of what heaven just confirmed. I need you to do something right now that's going to seal this covenant between you and the Almighty. I need you to make a promise, not to me, not to this message, to heaven itself. Say it out loud where you are. I will protect my blessing. I will guard what God has released. I will not let the enemy steal what heaven has given. Now type it below, I receive a T. That's not just engagement. That's spiritual warfare. You're declaring in the earthly realm what's already been decreed in the heavenly realm. You're giving the angels something to enforce. You're activating the blessing through your agreement. Because, beloved, the fight is almost over. The battle is nearly won. And when the sun rises tomorrow morning, you're going to wake up different. The blessing that was in motion tonight will begin to manifest. And everyone who doubted you, everyone who counted you out, everyone who said your time had passed, they're all about to witness what happens when heaven decides to show up for someone who refused to let go. But will you hold on through the night? You want to know why your breakthrough didn't come last month? Why that door you've been praying about for 17 years is still closed? Why God seems silent when you needed him most? Listen to me, chosen one. It wasn't because he forgot you. It was because the clock wasn't ready. Heaven operates on a different timepiece than the one ticking on your kitchen wall. While you've been counting days, God has been counting divine appointments. While you've been measuring months, He's been aligning constellations you cannot see. And tonight, this very night, something clicks into place that's been centuries in the making. Think about Abraham. Genesis 50 tells us God promised him a son, but that promise didn't manifest for 25 years. 25 years. Can you imagine? Sarah's womb was dead, Abraham's body was old, logic screamed impossible. But God wasn't late, He was precise. Because Isaac had to be born at the exact moment when only a miracle could explain it. If Isaac had come earlier, people would have credited Abraham's strength. But when he came at 100 years old, every eye turned to heaven. Your delay has a divine purpose. But here's what breaks my heart. Here's what keeps me awake at night praying for people just like you. You've been believing the enemy's lies about timing. He's been whispering, you missed it. Your season passed. God moved on without you. And you've been carrying that weight like a stone in your chest, haven't you? Stop right there. That's a demonic deception designed to make you forfeit what's already been released. God is a clockmaker, beloved. Every gear in your life, every heartbreak, every closed door, every unanswered prayer, they're not random. They're precision instruments clicking together in ways your natural eyes cannot detect. And tonight, the final gear slides into place. You know what Ecclesiastes 3:9 says, He has made everything beautiful in its time, not in your time, in His time. And His timing is so perfect, so mathematically exact, that if your blessing had come one day earlier, it would have destroyed you. That job you didn't get 3 years ago, you weren't ready for what came with it. That relationship that ended, it was protecting you from what would have killed your destiny. That financial breakthrough that seemed to slip through your fingers, you didn't have the character yet to steward it without losing your soul. But tonight you're ready. Heaven has been watching you. Every morning you got up when depression told you to stay down. Every time you chose forgiveness when bitterness was easier. Every moment you whispered, I trust you, Lord, through tears. Those weren't meaningless. Those were calibrations. Those were adjustments to the divine clock preparing you for impact. Here's the shocking truth that's going to wreck every excuse you've been making. If your blessing had come earlier, it wouldn't have survived. The enemy would have stolen it. Your immaturity would have sabotaged it. Your unhealed wounds would have contaminated it. But now you've been refined, tested, proven, and tonight is the safest landing for what heaven has been holding. Do you understand what I'm telling you? This isn't about you finally getting what you want. This is about you finally becoming who you need to be to keep what God is giving you. Moses was 80 when the burning bush appeared. 80 years of preparation for 40 years of ministry. You think God wasted those 80 years? No. Every day in Pharaoh's palace taught him leadership. Every day in the wilderness taught him humility. And when the appointed time came, he was ready to split seas. Your appointed time is now. There's a reason you're hearing this message tonight and not 6 months ago. There's a reason your spirit is stirring right now and not last year. There's a reason every word I'm speaking is hitting your soul like a hammer on an anvil. Because the divine clock just struck midnight over your life. Say it in the comments right now. Right on time. Don't think about it. Don't question it. Let your words align with heaven's clock. Because what I'm about to reveal next will show you exactly what's being released the moment you close your eyes tonight. But let me tell you something that's going to shake you to your core, beloved. The blessing that's about to land in your life tonight didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was fought for, bled for, battled over in realms you cannot see with your natural eyes. Hell tried to block it. Life tried to bury it. Time tried to delay it. And every single attack you've endured over the last 6 months, every unexplained health crisis, every financial pressure that came out of nowhere, every family member who suddenly turned cold, every night your mind wouldn't let you sleep that wasn't random. That was warfare. You thought you were losing your mind. You thought you were being punished. You thought God had abandoned you in your darkest hour. But what if I told you that every attack was actually confirmation that something massive was trying to reach you, and the enemy was doing everything in his power to intercept it before it arrived? Think about Daniel chapter 10. This prophet prayed for 21 days. 21 days of fasting, crying out, wondering if heaven had forgotten him. But then an angel appeared and said something that should stop you in your tracks. From the first day that you set your mind to understand and humbled yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come in response to them. But the prince of the Persian kingdom resisted me 21 days. Did you catch that? The answer was released on day 1. But there was a war in the heavenly realm that delayed it for 3 weeks. The blessing was already signed. The miracle was already approved. But demonic forces fought to keep it from reaching to Daniel's hands. Some of you have been praying for 17 years. Some of you have been believing for a breakthrough for 3 decades. And the enemy has been whispering, "It's not coming, you missed it." God said no. But what if the answer has been fighting through enemy territory this entire time, and tonight is the night it finally breaks through? You felt it, didn't you? That heaviness in your chest last Tuesday, that sudden anxiety attack on Thursday that made no sense, that pain in your body that doctors can't explain, that exhaustion that sleep won't fix. That wasn't your body failing you, dear one. That was spiritual resistance trying to wear you down right before your victory arrived. In the unseen realm, angels have been clearing a path. They've been dismantling every demonic blockade. They've been breaking down every wall the enemy built between you and what God promised you. And every battle you've fought in your mind, every tear you've cried in secret, every moment you chose to keep believing when doubt screamed louder, that was you holding the line until the cavalry arrived. Ephesians 16:2 tells us plainly, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age." Your real enemies weren't the people who betrayed you. Your real battle wasn't the diagnosis, the bankruptcy, the divorce. Those were just weapons. The real war was in the spirit realm, and it was over your destiny. But here's what hell didn't count on. Here's what the enemy miscalculated. Every attack meant to destroy you actually qualified you. Every delay meant to discourage you actually strengthened your faith. Every battle meant to break you actually prepared you to carry what's coming. Tonight is victory night because the war behind the scenes is already won. The angels are reporting back. The principalities have been defeated. The path has been cleared. And what's been fighting to reach you for months, for years, for decades, it's about to crash into your reality with the force of heaven itself. But listen carefully. The blessing that's coming has instructions attached to it. And if you follow them exactly as heaven delivers them, the blessing doesn't just arrive, it multiplies. It doesn't just touch you, it transforms your entire bloodline. Are you ready to hear what heaven is requiring of you tonight? Now listen to me very carefully, chosen one, because what I'm about to tell you will determine whether the blessing heaven released stays with you or slips through your fingers before sunrise. You see, most people think receiving a blessing is the hard part. But that's not true. The hard part is protecting it once it arrives. And tonight, this very night, you're going to be tested in ways you don't see coming. Let me tell you something that might shock you. In Matthew 15:18, Jesus himself warned us, when anyone hears the message about the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what was sown in their heart. Did you catch that? The enemy doesn't wait until next week. He doesn't give you time to celebrate. He comes immediately to steal what God just planted. That blessing moving toward you right now, it's like a newborn baby, fragile, precious, requiring fierce protection before the world ever gets to see it. And just like a mother guards her infant from every threat, you must guard what heaven is sending tonight. So God gave me 3 prophetic instructions for you. Not suggestions, not good ideas. Instructions that will determine whether you wake up tomorrow in breakthrough or back in the same bondage you've been praying to escape. First, protect your peace tonight. I know what you're thinking. That's it. Just protect my peace. Yes. Because your peace is the womb where the blessing grows. Philippians 4:7 promises, the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Guard. That's a military term. Your peace isn't passive, it's a soldier standing watch. But here's what most people don't understand. The moment heaven releases something over your life, hell gets the memo, and the enemy's first strategy isn't to attack you directly. No, he's smarter than that. He's going to send that phone call from the family member who always drains you. He's going to trigger that argument with your spouse about something that happened 15 years ago. He's going to resurrect that worry about money, that anxiety about your health, that fear about your children. Why? Because he knows that if he can steal your peace tonight, he can abort the blessing before it's fully born. So let me ask you something that's going to cut deep. How many times has God sent you something, an opportunity, a relationship, a breakthrough, and you sabotaged it by letting Charles back in? How many times did you almost make it out of Egypt, only to turn back because you got distracted by the drama? Tonight is different. Tonight you're going to guard your peace like your life depends on it, because spiritually it does. Second, avoid old temptations and old voices. This is where it gets dangerous. You know what I'm talking about. That person who texted you last week after 6 months of silence. That habit you thought you buried that's suddenly whispering your name again. That old mindset that keeps trying to convince you nothing's really going to change. Proverbs 23:1 says it bluntly, as a dog returns to its vomit, so fools repeat their folly. I know that's graphic, but God doesn't mince words when it comes to your deliverance. The very things you escaped are circling back tonight, trying to reclaim you before your blessing arrives. And those old voices, the ones that told you you weren't good enough, you were too old, you'd never amount to anything, they're about to get loud, real loud, because they sense what's coming, and they know that once this blessing manifests, their power over you is finished forever. But here's the truth that will set you free. You don't owe those voices a response. You don't owe that temptation a maybe. You don't owe your past a reunion tour. Lot's wife looked back at Sodom for just 1 second, and it cost her everything. Genesis 19:2 so simply says, "But Lot's wife looked back, and she became a pillar of salt." One glance, one moment of nostalgia for what God was delivering her from. And she never made it to her promised land. Don't you dare look back tonight. Third, stay in gratitude. Heaven accelerates gratitude. This is the secret most believers never discover. 1 Thessalonians 5:18 commands us, "Give thanks in all circumstances. For this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus." Not after the blessing arrives. Not when you see the evidence. In all circumstances. Right now. Tonight, before your eyes can confirm what your spirit already knows. You want to know why gratitude is so powerful? Because gratitude is the language of faith. When you thank God for what hasn't manifested yet, you're declaring that it's already done in the heavenly realm. You're pulling tomorrow's victory into today's reality. But most people miss their blessing because they're too busy complaining about what they don't have to recognize what's being delivered. They're so focused on the delay that they miss the arrival. They're so consumed with yesterday's disappointments that they can't receive today's divine appointment. Here's what I need you to understand. If you follow these 3 steps tonight, if you protect your peace, avoid old traps, and stay locked in gratitude, the blessing won't just visit you, it will stay with you. It will root itself so deep in your life that nothing can uproot it. But if you ignore these instructions, if you think you can be casual about what heaven is sending, you'll wake up tomorrow wondering what happened. Wondering why the breakthrough felt so close but never landed. Wondering why you're still stuck in the same place you've been circling for years. The choice is yours, chosen one. Heaven has released it. The delivery is in motion. But whether it stays or goes depends entirely on what you do in these next few hours. So tell me right now, tell heaven. Tell the angels who are watching. Comment below, I protect what heaven sends. Because the blessing is already on its way. The only question left is, will you be ready to receive it? Beloved chosen one, as we come to the end of this sacred moment together, I need you to carry 3 eternal truths with you into this night. First, what you did today was not invisible. Heaven saw it, recorded it, and responded to it. Your faithfulness in the small things triggered something massive in the spiritual realm. Second, the blessing released over your life tonight is real, but it requires your protection. Guard your peace. Avoid old voices. Stay locked in gratitude. These aren't just good suggestions, they're divine instructions that will determine whether you wake up in breakthrough or back in bondage. Third, and hear me clearly on this, you are not walking this journey alone. The same God who whispered your name this morning is still working in your life right now, even as you listen to these words. He hasn't brought you this far to abandon you. Romans 10:1 reminds us, if God is for us, who can be against us? That's not just scripture. That's your reality tonight. And beyond God's faithfulness, you have a community right here. Thousands of believers just like you, carrying the same burdens, fighting the same battles, believing for the same breakthroughs. We're not just viewers on a screen, we're family in the spirit. We see you. We understand you. We will pray with you. So let me ask you this final question and let it settle deep in your soul. Now that you know heaven stopped for you today, how will you walk differently tomorrow? Before you close this video, I want to pray over you. Right now, wherever you are, let me place my hand on your shoulder and speak life over your situation. Heavenly Father, I lift up every person hearing my voice right now. You know their name. You know their struggle. You know the blessing that's moving toward them tonight. Lord, I pray that you would protect what you've released. Guard their peace from every attack. Shield their mind from doubt. Silence every old voice trying to pull them backward. Father, give them strength for this night, wisdom for tomorrow, and unwavering faith for every step ahead. Where there's been lack, release provision. Where there's been pain, pour out healing. Where there's been loneliness, send divine connection. And Lord, let them sleep tonight in perfect peace, knowing that you are working all things together for their good. In Jesus' mighty name I seal this blessing. Amen. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell us what God spoke to your heart tonight. Ask your questions. Share your testimony. Let this community surround you with prayer and encouragement. And please, share this message with someone who needs to hear it. There's someone in your life right now who's ready to give up, who thinks no one sees them, who believes their struggle doesn't matter. Send them this video. Remind them they're not alone. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. We're building something sacred here, a family of believers who refuse to walk in silence. Thank you for staying with me through this entire message. Thank you for opening your heart. Thank you for believing that tonight can be different. The blessing is already in motion, chosen one. Now go receive it.